Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me. My name is Gregory Bennett. For those that don't know, see a lot of great familiar names and faces on here. So this is going to be interactive. I'm going to be talking about wholesaling real estate. I've been wholesaling real estate for a long, long time. I'll say over 20 years, 25 years. Um, Probably the best strategy of real estate. My favorite probably now is wholesaling because it's a quick payday. Obviously, I don't want you to just wholesale real estate to make the quick money. I want you to take that money and use that to then buy and hold. And so that's why we wholesale. We wholesale to buy and buy and holding real estate is where you build wealth. But it's the best way, in my opinion, safest way, less riskiest way to make lump sums of money. And so here in the DMV, we're making on average, I'll say in like the Prince George's County area, DC area, on average, 15, 20, $30,000 per wholesale deal. Baltimore's probably a little less. I mean, you're getting 5, 10, 15,000 in Baltimore because the sales prices are a lot lower. So the spreads are a lot lower. But if you're able to find a property below market and then put it under contract and then assign that contract to another what we call a cash buyer, another investor, you can make money in pretty quickly. I started my career off 23 years old, buying and holding. So my goal was to buy and hold one property a year, and I did that for many years as a young investor. I went on to get my real estate license and start selling real estate. I started flipping properties, buying and holding properties, but I've always come back to wholesaling real estate. I'm doing a lot of novations now. We'll talk about novations in the end, and the differences between wholesaling real estate to a cash buyer versus really assigning contracts to a third party buyer who's going to live in a property. That's what a novation is. All right. Again, this is very interactive. I've got the comment box up. And so if you want to make a comment, please do so. And so I'll just go ahead and get started. Well, actually, I'll tell you a story, quick story. And so one of my real estate agents actually found a property in the Congress Heights area of Southeast DC. So she found the property. She called me up and asked me to take a look at the property. I took a look at the property, and I made them an offer of $200,000. After repair value is about I'll say 425, 3-bedroom, 1 full bath, 3 levels, interior row home. I made the offer at $200,000. Sellers said no, I want more. They put it on the market. So she actually put it on the MLS for $230. She put it in the MLS for $230. I waited. She called me and said, we can't move it at $230. It's on the MLS. These investors are lowballing us. And I said, well, my offer stands. And she said, okay, good. I'm going to get him to accept your offer. So they accepted my offer at $200,000. I started marketing the same property for $230, the same amount that she put on the MLS for. I marketed that opportunity to a cash buyer in my cash buyers list. I also use a platform called Investor Lift. I put it on Investor Lift, and I also put it on one of the Facebook groups, or put it in the Facebook group. We advertised an open house for, I don't know if it was last Friday or the Friday before last. So this is my most recent wholesale deal. Before we could get to the open house, an investor from Investor Lift contacted me and said he was interested. And so I met him over at the property. And long story short, I walked him through the property. I showed him that the repair cost in this particular property wasn't going to be that high, that it already had an HVAC system with the AC unit, the condenser fairly new, that it was just cosmetic. And he took the offer at the 2:30. I sent him a contract either the same day or the next day. I sent him an assignment agreement. He signed the assignment agreement, sent him the original contract just to take a look at, and we should be closing the deal next week. So pretty quick. I think the deal from start to finish will be 3 weeks. He's going to use a hard money lender to buy the property. I'm familiar with this investor. I've wholesaled at least one other deal to him and tried to do another deal a few years ago. It just didn't work out. There was title issues. I'm going to be put on, my LLC is going to be put on the settlement statement underneath on the buyer side as either wholesale fee, consultant fee, and the title company will wire me the $30,000. That's an example, you guys, of wholesale. And so now I'm off to find another deal. That's wholesale. And what I would do if I was you, especially a newer wholesaler, I would ask the cash buyer if I could shadow him on the deal, because ultimately, so I'll make 30,000 on the deal. He'll probably make, if all goes well, he should make close to, I'll say somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000 on this deal. Generally, you calculate, what I do is I take about 20% of the after repair value. After repair value is about, I think about 425. Let's just say 400. 20% of that is $80,000. So I made 30 in 3 weeks. He should make somewhere around 80,000 and maybe 6 months, maybe 6 months. And just to see if you guys are paying attention, would you rather have, go to the chat, would you rather have $30,000 in 3 weeks, no risk, or $80,000, let's say, in 6 months? What would you choose? Go to the chat, let me know. 30,000 in 3 weeks or 80,000 in 6 months? All right, Sedani, hey Sedani, she's saying 30, Keith's saying 30, Kiki's saying 30. You guys are just saying 30 because that's what I got, 30. All right, all right. And so I agree with that. Not to say that I wouldn't have purchased this particular property and flipped it myself, because it wasn't a heavy lift on this one. It does come flipping properties. Alice is saying 80. If your opportunities are few and far between, if you're not getting a lot of opportunities, and most investors do not get a lot of opportunities, then maybe you take the 80. It's risky. It's flipping properties it's almost an exact science. You've got to buy the property right. You have to have great contractors that and you can really rely on. You've got to do a great renovation. You've got to get the right financing, or the hard money lender, or however you're going to finance the deal is not really a third partner. Because if you use a hard money lender and he's using a hard money lender to purchase the property, they're probably going to take 10% of what they loan him. They'll probably loan him close to, let's see, they're probably going to loan him 230, maybe 300,000. So if they take 10% of that, they're going to take $30,000. And so everything has got to be right on a flip. Uh, any of those things go wrong, you can lose your money. Most novice flippers lose money on their first few deals, and then oftentimes they're out of the business. And so when you're flipping properties, you got to really know what you're doing. That's why I always highly recommend wholesaling, at least initially. And then if you're flipping properties, flip with someone that has a lot of experience, so that you can gain experience. You might split the profits, get half of the profits, but at least you don't lose your shirt. At least you don't lose money. And so that's my latest deal. Had one right before that with I think I saw him on here, Ralph. I think I saw Ralph on here. There he is. Ralph and I did one in Baltimore. I think it was a month ago, Ralph, or maybe a little less than a month ago. Yeah, I think less than a month ago. Him and I did one together. One in Baltimore. And Ralph, I'm so old, I don't even remember the numbers anymore. No, I think you were under contract for 90, I think. um, anyway, I don't remember. I don't quite remember the numbers. Anyway, so that's wholesaling. So wholesaling is locating a distressed property, putting it under contract at a discounted price, and assigning the contract to a cash buyer, another investor below market value. That's what wholesaling is. As a wholesaler, there's no need to hire a contractor or repair the property. Now, sometimes, just to let you know, sometimes I'll clean the property out. I'll pay to clean the property out. If the homeowner was a hoarder or if there's a lot of trash, I will clean it out. I've cleaned properties out and then wholesaled it because I want to make sure the cash buyer has the vision of what I see the potential is. And then if I clean it out, I feel like I can get more money. There was a property that one of our investors, Dana and I wholesaled a property together in Forest Heights over close to Oxon Hill, Maryland. And he found the deal, brought me in. I said, Dana, I'll do the deal. There's a lot of juice in this one. I'll be responsible for cleaning, I think was the outside of the house because it needed a lot of like landscaping. You clean out the inside. So he purchased a roll-off, a dumpster, cleaned the inside out. I did the outside or vice versa. I can't remember. And there was over $100,000 in wholesale fees in that deal. And so we did good by cleaning that property out. So sometimes we'll do just little cleanup just to make it more attractive to a cash buyer. And then in doing so, we can make more on our wholesale fee. Wholesaling works best in lower price markets because it's easier for the end buyer to purchase the property for cash. And so what I'm finding is older neighborhoods. And so older neighborhoods, I want you to look in older neighborhoods as your target, as your targeted area where you can buy low, sell high. In our area, in the DMV, DC is perfect. Houses are over 100 years old, Baltimore as well. But older neighborhoods, Capitol Heights, they say like in Prince George's County, all the heights and all the hills is the best because they're older neighborhoods. The older the neighborhood, the better. The higher priced older neighborhoods, the better. I'll go over the formula in a second and to kind of explain why. Because ultimately, like my actual goal when I'm wholesaling is $30,000. That's my goal. I want to average $30,000. Now, will I do one and only make 5,000? Yeah. If the deal only calls for $5,000, I want that $5,000 and keep it moving. But have I had deals where I've made $50,000, over $100,000 in a wholesale deal? Absolutely. If you're taking notes, probate deals are the best deals to make the most amount of money. Probate, um, primarily because 70% of all the properties that are probated, 70% of them, the homeowner or the deceased who own the property owns real estate, and they own the real estate free and clear of any mortgages. So there's no mortgages on those properties. So they're dying, baby boomers are dying with no mortgages. Their heirs, the executors of the estates or the personal representatives of the estate, are selling those properties and selling them quickly, and you can get them for the best deals. And so if you're looking for the type of deals that make the most money, it's probate. If someone was to tell me I did a wholesale deal and made $50,000, I will guarantee you it's probate. This last deal that I just described in Congress Heights, that I'm going to make $30,000, is a probate deal. And so probate is the best. And I'll tell you how to get probate deals in a minute. The advantages of wholesaling are little to no experience required. So it doesn't take a lot. You guys can go out, and I'm going to challenge you in a minute. You can go out and find a probate deal, honestly, I'll say tomorrow, but within the next week. And with the right paperwork, there's two contracts when we're wholesale. So there's two contracts. There's the purchase and sales agreement. That's the A to B contract. The A is the seller. The B is the buyer, you. So there's the purchase and sales agreement. You put the seller under contract with the purchase and sales agreement, the A to B, and then you use an assignment agreement. That's the B to C contract, B being you, the assignor, and then the assignee is the cash buyer. That's the assignment agreement. And so once you have those two agreements down pat, you have those agreements, you understand them. Obviously, I can help you through the paperwork for your first deal. But once you have the paperwork down pat, and know your numbers, it's not uncommon for someone to wholesale a deal within, weeks or a month. You just have to find the deal. So let's see, it's minimal risk, no contractors repairs necessary, and you can really make big profits. You can really make big profits. I want you to set high goals for yourself with the wholesaling as I do. And I try to look at properties almost every day, if not every week. Now, it's a numbers game. Most of the deals I look at, the numbers won't work. But you've got to keep marketing. And so let's say that, for example, you get to a point where you're averaging, let's just say $20,000 a wholesale deal. The question is, at some point, maybe not now, but I want you to have like a marketing budget. You've got to spend some money on marketing. And I'll tell you what you spend that money on marketing. But you spend money on marketing. The question is, how much money do you spend per deal that you get? Like, what do you want your return on investment to be? And so for me, if I spend $5,000 and make $20,000, I'm good with that. Like and hopefully you guys understand the math there, but I'm good. That's a 4 times return. A 2 times return is good. You spend $1 and make $2. But if you spend $1 and make $4, that's spending $5,000 to make $20,000, 4 times return. That's a good return. And that's what a lot of investors don't understand. Eventually, it takes money to make money, and it takes time. It's a numbers game. Here's the quick math, you guys. Here's the quick math. This formula is old. I still use it. It's called the Mayo formula. So on some number 5 and number 6, we will put this handout in the community probably tomorrow, so that you'll have this handout. It'll be on our community page. So if you're not part of our community, I'll give you a link so that you can be part of our free community. But the math, like anything else, is math involved. And the math is simple. It's you take the after repair value, we call it the ARV, after repair value, what the house is worth once it's repaired. You multiply that, as a wholesaler is going to multiply that by 65%, and then subtract out the repair costs. And so to get the after repair value, sometimes I'll just use Zillow. The best way to do it is to use the MLS. A realtor can run the comps for you to get the after repair value. You can use Privy, Privy. If you're not an agent, you want to get Privy. And if you're interested in getting Privy, let us know. We'll give you a link to get a discount with Privy. But Privy runs comps for you. PropStream, you can get really good comps from PropStream.com. And so with Privy and PropStream, you don't have to be a real estate agent to get the run comps and get the after repair value. Obviously, if you're a real estate agent, you're good. You just use the MLS to get the after repair value. Again, you guys, if you guys have any questions, I don't see any in the chat. Let me know. You can just put your questions in the chat or just unmute yourself. Repair costs. You've got to be able to calculate the repair costs. Until you get good at walking into a house, looking at the house and trying to determine what the scope of work is, I would, and we have forms that will tell you what everything costs, but I would take a mentor, a coach, a contractor, a handyman, somebody that can, a cash buyer, your cash buyer that you trust. I would, that's how you get the repair costs. And then you just run the formula. So real quick, if you're taking notes, let's say that we've got an after repair value of 300,000. I'm gonna write this down. I want you guys to write it down. 300,000. We multiply that by 65%. I think you get 195. I think you get 195. Let's see. I'm gonna use my calculator. I'm gonna cheat. So 300,000 times 65%, yep, is 195,000 minus the repair costs. And let's say the repair cost on this particular deal is $60,000. So we subtract $60,000 in repair costs from the 195. 135,000 is your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. 135 is what you're going to offer the homeowner, the motivated seller. 135. That's what you're going to offer the motivated seller. Let's see. All right. So 135 is where you get, is where we is the offer we make. Let's say that they accept our offer. So now we've got a ratified contract on the A to B contract, the purchase and sales agreement. Now we have to offer this contract to a cash buyer. Now we offer it at 5%. We offer it at 5%. I mean at 70%. The difference is 5%. So let's just do the math again. So we're going to take 300,000 times 70% this time. That's going to give us $210,000 minus the repair cost of 60 is 150,000. So the 150, you guys, and I know I'm moving fast. This is being recorded. So 150 is what you're going to sell the deal for. 150. That's your maximum allowable offer to the cash buyer. 150. You're under contract for 135. You're going to offer it out for 150. The difference is $15,000. In this case, on a $300,000 property, $15,000 is what? That's your profit. That's what you're going to make. That's your wholesale fee, $15,000. It's 5%. Or you could just take, your profit should be somewhere around 5% of the after repair value. So 5% of 300,000 is 15,000. We did it the long way. The shortcut is you just take 5% of 300,000, and that should give you a great idea of what you should be making on a deal where the after repair value is 300,000. If the after repair value is 400,000, you take 5% of that, that's $20,000. You should be making about $20,000. As sort of as a general rule, doesn't always work that way, but as a general rule, that's what it is. Any questions, you guys? Any questions? Any questions so far? I'm moving fast, and it's going to be hard to get this in this hour.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on the wholesaler out there that wants it all? They want, they want more than the 15,000 or whatever. They kind of have a greedy mindset. What would you? I'm sure that you've come across those types in your career. How do you guard against that, or what would you say to the folks on this line that's looking for a bigger payday?
And so that's a good question. My comment is greedy investors, greedy wholesalers don't make money. Can't be greedy. You ask for too much, you're going to be stuck with that contract. You're not going to be able to move that contract. And on that contract, there's a settlement date. There's some contingencies on that contract. If you go past it, the motivated seller could sue you. So let's just stick to the formula. Let's not be greedy. Let's get what we can get and live to see another day, make that money, and move on to wholesale another deal. You can't be greedy. Now, you can, once you really get good at wholesaling, it's all about your negotiation skills. If you can negotiate with the homeowner at a lower price, let's say lower than the 65%, 60%, 55%. And if you're really good at selling the deal and negotiating with the cash buyer, now your number's a little higher. And so I negotiated with the seller and I stuck at 200,000. I was willing to lose that deal. They didn't take my 200,000. They asked me to come up. I said no. They put it on the MLS. They were getting really similar offers, but they went with me. Then I walked the cash buyer. Keith, you were there. I walked that cash buyer through the property. And I told them from A to Z what they needed to do with the property. You need to sand these floors. You need new baseboards and shoe molding. Paint the walls, put all the trim white. We need to gut the kitchen, gut the bathroom. And that pretty much was it. Like I said, this project should take less than $30,000. Like I sold the deal. And by doing so, that deal I probably was supposed to make about 20,000, but I sold the deal and I stuck to my 230. Can I get a little, honestly, he didn't even try to negotiate with me. I said 230, he took it.
I also think, Greg, that you have experience with him on another deal, so he trusts you. Also, that has something to do with it.
Yeah, right. I mean, but all my numbers, everything I said was right, was true. But Keith brings up a good point. You guys stick to these numbers. Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Greedy wholesalers, greedy investors don't make money. They lose money, and then they're out of business. And then you come to cash buyers, you have a cash buyers list. You come to a cash buyer with a deal. If your deal is always too high, your numbers are always too high, cash buyer is not even going to take your call. Cash buyer is going to see your text message and not even read it. Going to look at your email, not even look at it. If you continuously, if all your deal, and then if you're wholesaling, another wholesaler's deal, and all you're doing is passing along another wholesaler's deal. I don't see that as much now, but a year or two ago, it still happens. cash buyers don't look at true cash buyers. They don't look at those deals because the contract holder has to make their fee. Then you as a wholesaler, you've got to put your fee on top of that. By the time it gets to a cash buyer, the numbers are too high. And if you keep doing that, a true cash buyer is going to ignore you completely. And so you've got to bring deals or close to deals in order to make money as a wholesaler. And that's how you make money. That's how you make money as a wholesaler. I think we got a couple questions before I move on. Let's see. Let's say you mentioned marketing. Can you provide examples of what you'd spend? Wait, hold on. What you spend the marketing budget on? Oh, so I would spend my marketing budget on initially. I would do postcards to a targeted audience, to a predictive data list of potential sellers that are distressed. And so I talk about this all the time, but I would pick an area depending on where you live. Where do you live, Monica? You can either unmute yourself or just put it in the chat.
Capitol Hill in DC.
So she lives in Capitol Hill. I would probably target are you familiar with Trinidad, the Trinidad area?
Yes, I am. I just moved to DC. I know very little about it. I've been here for less than a year, so I have heard of Trinidad, but what I have heard has not been good. That was the reason for my reaction.
Well, Trinidad is good. Trinidad back in the day wasn't good, but those times are actually Trinidad has appreciated over 70% in the last 10 years. Trinidad now is like an extension of Capitol Hill. That's why I said Trinidad if you're in Capitol Hill.
Good to know.
I mean, there's $1 million. Trust me, I just bought a house to renovate there. I'm doing an novation in Trinidad. But there's lots of deals right there. I would target Trinidad if I was you. And I would get a predictive data list and spend that money and whatever you can afford. But you have to be consistent. So if you can only afford, I'm just gonna throw out a number, $200 a month, and you know that you can spend that $200 a month for 6 months, then I would start there. And of course, as you start making money, you spend more money. The investor that can spend the most money is going to make the most money. And so you start where you can start, but that's what I would do if I was you. I would go to a targeted list, like absentee owners, out-of-state absentee owners in that zip code or in that subdivision is what I would target. That's what I would do if I was you.
Okay, thank you.
I would start off with postcards. And I would start off with the bigger postcards, the jumbo postcards. Should cost you about 50 cents. That includes postage per piece. Or maybe a little over 50 cents, maybe 60, 65 cents per piece. Now, the more you order, the less it is. All right, Josue is on the line. What's up, Josue? Do you ever let the seller know you're signing the contract? How are you getting your probate leads? All right, so on our purchase and sales agreement, it's in 2 places. It tells the seller that you're signing the contract. Now, I almost never, it's okay, but I almost never verbally tell them. But in 2 places, so where it has, when the contract starts off, it has you as the buyer. So it puts you, the buyer, then it says, or assigns. That means the buyer is you or whoever you assign it to. So it says, for me, it's either Gregory Bennett or Bennett Team Properties or assigns. So that says that I can assign a contract. And then one of the contracts that we use, I think it's paragraph 8, it says that the contract can be assigned. Now, what I say is, what I tell them when I do speak of it is either I'm going to buy this property from you or one of my partners is going to buy the property from you. But in most cases, it's in the contract, it's above board in 2 different places. You don't necessarily have to tell them that you're going to assign the contract. But if you feel like you do, or if they ask you, say, yeah, it's either me or one of my partners is going to buy this property. The probate leads. And so the probate leads, you can get lists, probate lists. Now, what we used to do, I'll call it back in the day, but a few years ago before the pandemic, we would just go down to the probate office once a week and pull all the new filings and then build a list and mark it to the personal representatives. That's how we used to do it. Now, you can get probate leads from Foreclosure Daily, foreclosuredaily.com. There's people who sell lists. The best way, though, to get probate leads, you guys, the best way to get probate leads is to market yourself and brand yourself as an investor. That's how you get leads. That's how you get probate leads. Here's an example. So one of our investors, I always just use him because it's a good story. He may be on here, Gary. So Gary's not on here. All right. So one of our investors had a church member. He branded himself and marketed himself in his church that he's a cash buyer and he buys real estate. He's a real estate investor. A young lady, mother passed away in the church. She was getting inundated with phone calls, letters, postcards, because her information is public record now. Because when you pull the filings, the personal representative they have to put their name and their phone number and their address, just in case there's some creditors that the deceased owes money to. So that's public information who the personal representative is, their name and phone number and address. And so that's why we're able to send letters, postcards, and call them. She was getting inundated, but she knew Gary, and she called Gary and said, I've got this house. My mother passed away. I'm interested in selling it. Are you interested in buying it? So of course, he went there and went to the house. Long story short, put it on the contract, and then he wholesaled the deal to me. And so he just branded himself, and that's the best way. And so when I see people, my real estate agent's the same thing. That's how she got that probate deal that she wholesaled to me. She didn't call the person. They already knew that she was an agent. They knew her as an agent. And so Josue, to answer your question, the best way is just to brand yourself. Now, you can go after wholesale deals, like I said. You can buy lists, you can market to those lists, and all of that works. But the best way is just to brand yourself to the universe that you're a real estate investor. All right, Elizabeth is asking me, would you double down on marketing by using postcard mailers and AI tools for voice call follow-ups? I would. Yeah, I definitely would. I definitely would. And so we use all that. And so we use you can use AI for follow-up calls. We use virtual assistants for our calls to make the calls. If let's just say if I was starting all over, I would start off with postcards, I would use that same postcard list to call. I'd get virtual assistants from overseas. We use them from the Philippines and pay them somewhere around $6-7 an hour. We use the same list that we use for the postcards. We skip trace the list. We send it to reiskip.com. They send back the list with the phone numbers, and we get our virtual assistants to call. And so we have a marketing mix between postcards going out and our virtual assistants calling. So they actually make the phone calls using a dialer. We start off with Mojo Dialer. Now we're using Call Tools, calltools.com. Call Tools is better, more expensive, but they can call up to, I think, make up, is it 12 calls at a time, Keith? 300 calls a minute, something like that.
Yeah, 12 dialers.
Go ahead.
12 dialers, Call Tools has.
Okay. And then, yes, you can do the follow-up calls. We always say the fortune is in the follow-up. You can use AI tools for the follow-up in bots, and let the bots speak to them through text messages as well. And so Elizabeth, that definitely can do that. I think, let's see.
Greg,
We have contracts. Keith, what's our link for all of our contracts? Do you know? If not, we can send it to Tony.
Okay.
You know what our link is? Or can you put it?
Yeah, I can look it up. It's Investor Toolkit. Let me look it up.
Okay.
You want me just to put it in the chat box?
Yeah, I think is it investortoolkit.com?
I want to say that, but let me confirm it.
All right. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we move on, you guys? Couple other things before we move on. Virtual wholesaling. I wholesaled a property in North Carolina that I never looked, that I never seen. Someone called me locally that a relative had passed away. They owned a house in it was a friend of hers. Relative passed away in Hickory, North Carolina. Called me, wanted to know if I was interested in buying it. I said no, but I'll sell that property for you. And so I put them under contract. I actually used Zillow. I went on Zillow and figured out what the ARV was, put them under contract. I used Investor Lift. I have Investor Lift. I put the deal on Investor Lift, but I also put the deal on the local. I went to Facebook and I searched on investor groups for Hickory, North Carolina. There was a investor group. I put the deal in the investor group on Facebook. Someone in that investor group, long story short, bought the deal. Actually, they called and I said, "Oh, they said they were interested." I said, "Well, the seller hit a key, and my dilemma is I need someone to put a lockbox on it. Can you put a lockbox on the property and take pictures for me? I'll give you $100." And they said yes. And so they said, "Send me $50," and I did. They went and bought a lockbox, took pictures, of course, found the key, put it in a lockbox, took pictures, sent them the rest of the money, and they said that they were interested in buying the deal, and they did. And so I wholesaled that property virtually. And there's a lot of investors. I believe in, staying local. I'm hyper local, but every now and then you'll get a deal that's out of the area where you can do exactly what I did and exactly what I just described. It's called virtual wholesaling. I have a young lady that's I'm part of a mastermind, and that's all she does is she chooses emerging markets. She uses Privy She does use PropStream and some other tools to pull lists, pull comps, and she'll market to different areas across the country. And all day long, she sits at home, she works from home, and she's just wholesaling all day long virtually. She's really good. I'll have her come and speak to us. She's really good. And so that's virtual wholesaling. Sort of along with, I think it was Monica's question. Monica, what I do is I put because we're all busy, and when our phones ring, we've got to answer it. And so I use a virtual call service, a live call service called patlive.com, and they answer all my calls for me. And so I put my Pat Live number, the 800 number, on my postcards, on all my advertising, and they answer. You can call them. You can actually call them now, and they've got about 6 or 7 questions that I've told them to ask the homeowner. If somebody called me like yesterday, and I was actually available. They do a live transfer. So someone will call, they'll ask all the questions, and they'll say, let me see if I can get a hold of them for you. And they call me. If I'm available, I'll answer and say, yes, I'll take the call. If not, I'll answer and say, just send me the email with the questions, with the answers, or I just want to answer the call. And so I would use Pat Live. Let's just say if I was starting all over, I would use Pat Live to answer all my calls. Once you guys get going, once you get a few wholesale deals under your belt. Also, once you get a few deals under your belt, you want to get a website. Now we use an on-carrot website. I think my domain name is fastcashdmv.com. But it's an investor website that's already optimized. And so it takes maybe 15 minutes to set up. Everything's already set up for you. The autoresponder, everything is already set up. You just put your areas, put your picture, do a quick bio. You can go to ChatGPT to do a quick bio for yourself, and you're up and running with your website. And depending on which website you choose, I think it's less than $100 a month. But PropStream, there's a lot of places to get a website, but I would highly recommend a website. Michael says, how about using PropWire? So PropWire is good too. PropWire right now is free. We all use PropWire for pulling lists. And so it's a great list. PropWire will also do the skip tracing for you too. I think Keith, is PropWire, is that 15 cents a lead? I know I think it's a little more expensive, but
no, Greg, it's 10 cents per lead.
Oh, okay, so it's competitive.
Yeah.
PropWire is 10 cents per lead. So we use PropWire. And again, PropWire is free. Everybody should, as your homework. And so thank you for that, Michael. Go to propwire.com and set up an account. You can pull your list there. And so we pull our list there also. And so that's a good one, Michael. All right. So what time is it? Oh, goodness. All right. So, all right. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to build your targeted cash buyers list. For many wholesalers, the key to their business is that cash buyers list. And you don't want to just put any name on there. You want to actually build a list, a spreadsheet, and you want to put, for example, my name as a cash buyer. I buy houses. I buy in Baltimore. I buy in DC. I buy in Prince George's County. I live in Prince George's County. Those are my sweet spots. I want residential properties. That's my buy box is those areas residential. That's my buy box. You want to put that down for me. You might have someone else that just wants Baltimore. So you get a Baltimore, you look at your cash buyers list and you choose everyone that's buying in Baltimore and you send that deal out to them. You call them. Or you might find something that's multifamily. You want a cash buyers list of people who buy multifamily or land or whatever that is. That's how you build your cash buyers list. If I just told, I forget now. I think it was, I forget. Anyway, Monica maybe. If Monica is marketing to Trinidad, before she starts sending out postcards to Trinidad, she's got to have at least 3 or 4 or 5 different cash buyers that want to buy in Trinidad. I buy in Trinidad. So she's got to know before she sends out that marketing piece every month that if she gets a deal and she wants to wholesale that deal, who's going to help me? Who's going to be my cash buyer? And so having a strong cash buyers list will really determine the amount of money you make. Now, if you find a deal and you don't have cash buyers who are buying in those areas, I will help you because I have a huge cash buyers list. I've been doing it for a long time. I've got a huge cash buyers list. Plus, I've got tools like Investor Lift and some others that I can sell these deals. There's no shame in Ralph and I did a deal. I said, Ralph, how much money you want to make? And he said $10,000. Hopefully Ralph doesn't get mad at me. I said, fine. I said, I'll put mine on top of that. And we wholesale the deal. I found the cash buyer and we wholesale the deal. He got his, I got mine. And so I'm happy to help you guys out there on disposing on those properties. And so we want to build that cash buyers list early in the process. On auction properties, you guys, a lot of our coaching students find their deals on the auctions, ashlandauctions.com in Baltimore, alexcooper.com. hubzoo.com, auction.com, AJ Billig. There's a number of auction sites that you either buy these properties in front of the courthouse steps or you buy them online. They're online auctions. But you can if you follow these properties, run the comps, know your limit, you can find a lot of great deals. Now, my recommendation is that I just told you that if you're wholesaling, you're wholesaling at 65% on auction properties, go no higher than 60%. Use 60% because a lot of these properties, you're buying them as is, where is. Some you can't even look on the inside. So you have no idea what the repairs might be. So you've got to be careful. You should be buying these at around 60%. Wholesaling land, wholesaling multifamily, businesses. I had someone that a hotel was being sold it's like Springfield, Virginia. He put that deal under contract and then he assigned that contract to someone else who specialized in hotels and made like a $500,000 wholesale fee. So hotels, you can get an assignment agreement and make money there. I'll put my information. I'm going to put my phone number, you guys, in the chat, 301-351-4513. The best way to contact me is calling me. I just put it in there. Hopefully you guys can see it. Let's see.
I just put it in there, Greg.
Okay. So that's my number. It's best to text me. If you have a deal, it's best to text me. Tell me you have a deal and text me the address so I can run the comps for you. All I'm gonna do if you call me is say, well, send me the address, let me run the comps. You want to create a system for consistent follow-up. Again, you guys, the fortune is in the follow-up. If I go to an appointment on tomorrow, which I am, I'm probably not going to get the deal, but I'm going to keep following up. Somebody mentioned using AI to follow up. You've got to continue to follow up. That last deal that I got that I'll be closing on next week, I did follow up with her. I mean, she called me, but I kept following up. Hey, how's things going? You find a buyer yet? You keep going until that deal is sold. Let's see. Am I at the end of this? Yeah, communication is the key. Practice negotiation. I've got a full class on negotiation that I teach our coaching students. All right, 60 days to your next deal. Identify your niche. Who will you market to in what area? So I want you to find a targeted area. Someone mentioned where she lived, and I said Trinidad. That's a great area, older neighborhood. Pick an area that's older and learn that area. What are houses selling for? What are the after repair values? Get your motivated seller leads. Focus on one source, whether it's driving for dollars, probate leads, absentee owners, auction properties. Real estate agents can find deals for you. Most real estate agents are not investors. Prop wire, someone mentioned that. I want you guys to pull leads, pull lists there. You can pull lists, you can pull your list there, and you can call them, you can send postcards to them, you can pull your list that way. Build your cash buyers list, you guys. There's cash buyers on this call. If you're a cash buyer, put your name and number in the chat. Put your name and number in the chat if you are a cash buyer. Obviously, I'm a cash buyer. But not only that, if you find a deal, I'll come out and vet it for you. I will vet that deal for you. Assemble your wholesaling team. Assemble your team. Coach, contractor, investor-friendly title company, real estate agent if you're not. I got title company on here twice. Accountant. So get your team together because you're going to need it. Start marketing every day for 60 days. How are you going to market? The easiest thing to do is we buy houses on social media. So social media. We used to do Craigslist ads. You still can do that. The direct mail that I mentioned, looking at deals on the auction sites, pulling those lists from those free sources and calling them. All of those things are the best ways to get deals. Our coaching students are getting them from the auctions. They're branding themselves to their sphere of influence. So their sphere of influence knows that this is what they do. Yeah, I would say the marketing channels are the direct mail, the cold calling, social media. I would say are probably the top three. And then optimizing a website. So if someone's Googling, need to sell my house fast, you come up. Follow up every day, schedule appointments, research and evaluate properties. Keep know your numbers, know your investor-friendly contract. So you got to know your numbers, study the contracts, consider presenting creative sales strategies. Some of the wholesale deals you're going to do, could be a good creative financing deal for another investor. And so I've wholesaled deals that were subject twos or owner financing, where I just didn't want it. And so I wholesaled the deal, but it was like a subject to, where someone was able to take over this lady's mortgage and hold on to the property and pay me a fee for finding the deal. Put the property under contract, assign the contract to your cash buyer, and get paid at settlement. No, when I read that number 11, get paid at settlement, the title company has to have both contracts. You have to be in contact with the title company. They have to also have the assignment agreement. You have to see your fee. Let's say it's $15,000, $20,000. Before settlement begins, you have to see that your fee is on there. Some wholesalers, most wholesalers don't go to settlement, but one of our wholesalers, Dorothy, she goes to every settlement. I'm like, Dorothy, what are you doing here? She went, I want to make sure I get paid. And she's not walking out of that room, even though they'll wire her the money until the wire is done or they've cut her a check. And so you can go to settlement. Most wholesalers do not, but they just make sure that that title company emails them a copy of the Alta or the HUD to make sure that they're on there. And so that's what I want you guys to do. And that's wholesaling. And it's something that you've got to study. This is being recorded. We'll send out this recording. We'll send out this handout. If you have any other questions, I just gave you our number. We do, we're not really selling anything, but we do have a, let's see, I don't see it now. We do have a coaching program if you're interested. Let's see if I can go to it. It's our Inner Circle. You can go to bbcinnercircle.com and put that in the chat for me. bbcinnercircle.com.
Okay.
There, and you can actually schedule an appointment to talk to us about our coaching program. And we can coach you guys through these deals and other deals. And so I began this talk with, we only wholesale to have the cash to buy and hold. And so I want to end it there as well. And so we talked wholesaling for the last hour. I want you to know that you can make the money that I just described to you, $20,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 per deal. You can make that, but I don't want you to make that and then squander the money. You should be reinvesting that money into at least one buy and hold. One buy and hold can change your life. You buy it right, pay it down, pay it off, let your tenants pay it off. It's estimated that 15 to 17 years, property values double in the US. 15 to 17 years, depending on the area. DC, definitely 15 years. So that can change your life. When I look back at my career and I see properties that I wholesaled, and case in point, the person who's buying Congress Heights said that the property that I wholesaled to him, and I probably made $20,000 or $30,000 on that deal. I think, Keith, it was less than 2 years ago. He renovated that property, actually held that property. He got it appraised, and he's got $300,000 in equity in that property right now. It's like I just handed him $300,000. Now I'm cool with it, but at some point you want to start holding properties because that's how you really build wealth. Nothing wrong with wholesaling. Get the cash, start building up your cash. You got to pay off bills, whatever, but eventually build up your cash, get your credit straight. And then in one of the deals that you're able to find and put under contract, you want to hold that property. Especially the young lady is in Capitol Hill. If you can buy a property in Capitol Hill, Trinidad, wherever it is, that's what you want to do, so that later on, let's say that she finds a property and in Trinidad, they're selling easily for $800,000. easily for 800,000. 15 years from now, and there's some in Trinidad that's selling for over $1 million. But let's just be conservative and say 800,000. 15 years from now, that property will be worth 1.6 million. As an investor, we probably get it for 400, 500,000. Put some renovations to it, rent it out, hopefully make one extra payment a year so it's paid off in that 15 years. And now we've got a property that's worth 1.6 million 15 years from now. It's in DC. It's always going to appreciate. Properties in DC always appreciate. So it's going to be worth 1.6 million 15 years from now. She could sell that property. She could pull some cash out, continue to hold it and get the cash flow. It's just a lot of options that she has. But we've got to hold, and that's just there. Same if you're in Baltimore, if you're in Charles County, PG, wherever it is, value is 400. 15 years from now, 17 years from now, it's going to be worth 800. You buy two, now you've got two properties worth 1.6. What are you going to do? You've got options that's going to help you with your retirement. And that's what this is all about. We use wholesaling to get the cash to then eventually buy and hold one property, two properties, three properties, whatever it is. All right, that's all I have. Any questions, you guys? If you're interested in learning more about our coaching program, go to bbcinnercircle.com, schedule an appointment. Let's see. Kiki is saying, do I have to put the house on the sales agreement before leaving the owner? Preferably yes. And so if your question is, should you take a contract with you, negotiate with the owner, try to get your price, and have the owner sign that contract right then and there? Absolutely. That's absolutely how you do it. You don't want to wait. So sometimes you can say, I'll email you a contract where you can sign it electronically. Preferably do it right there.
Greg, I just wanted to mention the toolkit link is out there as well. You guys should bookmark that because it's more than just contracts. And there's several different contracts which we didn't get into tonight. So just make sure you bookmark it.
All right, you guys. Michael's got a question. How about getting deals off the MLS? You can find deals off the MLS. Most of the deals that we find are off market deals, or off the MLS. It's just less competition. Most of the deals that I get, honestly, I'm either the only one in or one of two or three people that they're talking to. Finding deals on the MLS is like the whole world has access to it because it's online. Off-market deals that are not online, it's just less competition and it's easier to negotiate. You don't have to go through a real estate agent that has to be paid a commission. But it's not to say that there's no deals on the MLS. There are deals. There are definitely deals, expired listings. Now you're not dealing with real estate agents. And a seller knows that they've got to lower the price. 80% of the time, a listing expires, it's overpriced, so it's an easier sell if your work it expires. But you're going to find most of your deals off market, postcards, cold calling, using predictive data lists that are lists that really predict that the seller is going to be selling, motivated seller is going to be selling, within 90 days, within 6 months. That's what you want, because you want to predict your outcome, you want to predict your future, you want to predict your success. And so that's most investors that are marketing that's why postcards are so good, because we're targeting our audience. We're targeting a motivated seller with postcards. So you can do that with postcards, cold calling as well. All right. Any other questions? All right. I think we're good. So look, you guys, there's deals out here. Don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no deals. There's deals out here every single day. Unfortunately, people are dying every day, so there's probate deals. Unfortunately, people are getting behind on their mortgages and they're losing their houses. So there's foreclosures, unfortunately. Here in our area, especially Prince George's County. Prince George's County at one time led the nation, well, not the nation, led the state of Maryland in short sales and pre-foreclosures, more than Baltimore City. So there's deals out here. Auctions somewhere in the DMV every single day. There's deals out here. If the numbers are too tight, let's say you find a deal, last thing I'll say, if you find a deal, you guys, that is really not a deal because it's not at 70%, let's just say it's 80% of the after repair value minus repair costs, or even 85%, doesn't fit the formula, it's not a wholesale deal, cash buyer's not going to buy it, that particular deal can be what we call a novation, meaning we're going to put that motivated seller under contract. We're going to ask that motivated seller if we can do repairs to the property and then put that property onto the MLS and then find an end buyer who's going to live in that property. So we're going to sell that deal to a third party, an end buyer that's going to live in there versus a cash buyer that's going to renovate that property and flip it, or renovate that property and hold it. That's a novation. To novate means to find a replacement for, in this case, for yourself. So they're going to sign a novation agreement with us. I'm going to be the buyer. I'm going to renovate the property. They're going to still own the property. I'm going to make some renovations enough to be able to sell it to an end buyer. And then that end buyer is going to replace me as the buyer, and the seller, per our agreement, is going to pay me a fee above what I've promised them that they would get, which is that 80% of what they'll get. That's a novation. I'm doing a lot of novations. By doing so, you're doubling your money. So with the novations, we're making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. We're not buying the properties. We're just making some repairs enough to make a house really nice and livable. I'll do a talk on that next time. Novations, and we're selling to an end buyer, and that's a novation. You look it up, novation investing, real estate investing. So I'm doing a lot of those, especially when the numbers don't work for me to wholesale. I'll just do a novation, clean the property up really, really good, and then get them to allow me to put it on the MLS. And in our agreement, it says that we're allowed to put it on the MLS. We sell it to somebody. So an end buyer who's going to live in a property will buy at market value, as opposed to an investor. They can't buy that market value because if they fix it up and sell it, they're not going to make any money. They'll lose money. That's what a novation is, and that's what we'll talk about next. All right, you guys, if there is no other questions, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys have my information. You want to learn more about our coaching program, just go to bbcinnercircle.com. Take care. God bless. Let's see. Do we have questions here or comments? Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. God bless you guys. Take care. Good night. And let's get out here and take action. That's the key. You guys just spent 1 hour and 15 minutes with me. Let's not let this time go in vain. Let's do something. Let's further your education, pull a free list, give me a text message. I offer free shadowing here and there. One morning, if you're free, or night, text me. Hey, you going out tomorrow? I'd love to shadow you. Get in touch with us as it relates to our coaching program. Let's make some money this year, you guys. We're here to help. Your excuse is not going to be, there's no resources, I have no one to help me. That's not your excuse. That was my excuse coming up as an investor. That's not going to be your excuse. Okay. We're here to help you guys, and we want to help you guys. All right. Take care. God bless. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, Alice Thornton.
Good night, sir. Actually, wait, Greg, I'm gonna call you. I have a question for you.
Okay.
All right, bye.